Because what happened in 2023 with the Obedient Movement, the Labour Party, Peter Obi, without a single governor or federal house member or senator or whatever, any elected or appointed person, was a very big eye-opener and a disruptor in the political system of Nigeria. If that could happen within a few months, when Peter came out, imagine he had been seen after he lost the election in 2003. He been 2023. He been screaming, permutating, moving around, networking, mobilizing, and all that. So any careful watcher will know that Peter Obi still remains the biggest threat to in 2027 presidential election. And I think that APC and election for OPC are not actually losing sleep about that.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, how does it all look to you?
You see, politics is a very, it's a very tricky game. At times I look at it, the way we play here, I've been unserious. You know, this same person that the Commission for Information and then an appointee of Governor Abba Yusuf of Kano State, who everybody knows that without the NNPP and Kwankwasia and Kwankwaso support, he could not have been governor. Everybody knows that very simple. You don't even need to be in Kano to know Kano before you know that. It's a fact that everybody knows. We know how the Kwankwaso Senator Kwankwaso and the Kwankwaso Model fought tooth and nail to protect him. In the last election in 2019, we knew how they fought for him, and the end, he didn't make it through. In fact, he was manipulated out.
Many people thought he won the election.
Yes, including myself. Because for every indication, it seems he won the election. And in the end, Ganduje being the incumbent and others have their way at the end of it. And now, the same man and group fought to make him governor. At I wonder if politicians can ever build on trust and relationship.
Okay,
and
well,
consistency and also. And they're looking at everything, whether anybody likes to be for now. But I saw the Kano people in Abuja over the weekend for the APC convention. They were still wearing the red cap. Majority of them. And some of them are still saying, Kwankwasia. I observed them around the streets of Lagos, streets of Abuja and around. Looking at this development before we maybe go into the other angle to it, from the analysis here so far, and then the issue of Kwankwaso moving into ADC, whether it's about issue of NNPP, because NNPP was almost non-existent until Senator Kwankwaso joined the NNPP.
And brought it to life.
He was life giver to NNPP. Just like Mr. Peter Obi gave life to Labour Party.
Good.
So, and just like Bola Tinubu and co gave life to APC. Yes. So, the issue of trying to undermine the importance or the influence of a very big player like Kwankwaso in Kano and Nigerian politics by the commissioner. The commissioner, I think, is something that he should think more reasonably, because I think something serious is actually happening in Kano. And I think what they're trying to do, they are jittery. And I think what they're trying to do is to cover up their fears, because whether they like it or not, Kwankwaso is a big player, a big influencer that can move the voting or the politics of Kano to whatever direction he belongs. Okay. Whether he wins or not, everybody should acknowledge it, whether you are in the opposition or not. In fact, when they were still together, wasn't praising Kwankwaso as leader, everybody leader, including governor. Now, because they're now having differences, everybody now, we politicians should even learn to know that principle, ideology, trust, and the consistency really matters.
Good. Well, you just talked about the APC convention and glimpses of it, which you were part of, I think, or you saw.
Yeah.
Now, the high point, one of the high points of that convention, which took place on Friday, was the speech by Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yeah.
And he talked about a number of things. It's more or less like his scorecard. And for which, he felt, he deserved to be, the party deserved to be to be re-elected, and he, as the leader of the party, as the presidential, will be the presidential flag bearer, which I believe is going to be just a matter of, this thing. He made a lot of speeches. He made a lot of points in his speeches. Yeah. The usual issue about how the economy has, the reform has come up. The usual things about. One key issue that he talked about was that he was in favor of a robust opposition. But again, we see what is happening. Almost 3/4 of the entire governors in this country have moved to APC.
3/4?
Governors.
More than 3/4. Is it not almost 90% now?
Okay, that's what I said. Well, when I said 3/4, I'm just being
far more than 3/4.
I'm being conservative.
Yeah.
But then, on one hand, the president, who is basically the beneficiary of this development, is now telling you and I that that we should not be afraid. Come on, don't be afraid. There will be one party. But what we're seeing, it's a different thing altogether. What can you say about that?
Even the Senate President, in his own speech, said that by Wednesday, that the APC is likely going to have 33 governors.
That means only 3 governors will be.
That is in the Senate President's statement.
Okay.
When he made his own speech.
Yes.
That he was commending others that have constituted the Progressive Party, and then he's believing very, very strongly by Wednesday, but specifically by Wednesday, that there may be, instead of 31, there may be 33.
So effectively, there will be only 3 governors out of
APC.
And that's Alex Oti in Abia, Makinde
of Oyo State, and Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State.
And Charles Soludo.
Charles Soludo is an APC man. APC in Abgawea.
In Abgawea.
Yes, he's an APC man.
So which means...
Mr. President, in fact, let me tell you, if you talk about the issue...
What about Oti? Oti too should be another APC.
Oti is still an independent man.
But he said he was going to support the APC. I mean...
Mr. President, he is under very terrible pressure as a current now. And then the main force behind the Labour Party, Peter Obi, is out. So at the national level, he doesn't have protection, and they may not have a candidate. Especially
with the likes of Ojo Okalu bearing down on his neck.
The kind of pressure they are mounting on him with Ojo Okalu and the Deputy Speaker on the Right Honorable Kanu.
But he was joined in the APP. So, he was joined. He has the likes of Abaribe, who appear to be, pally with him. So why should he be afraid?
Abaribe has moved to
ADC, yes, but
Abaribe is still supporting him. The style of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a type of political strategy that is domineering, that is compelling and compulsive,
and coercive.
Coercive maybe.
Silently coercive, isn't it?
Good. Maybe quietly coercive. Now, looking at the whole setting, I'll tell you, me personally, on his own side, is political strategy. In fact, he is guiding and guarding his territory because he wants to go back for second tenure. Therefore, he's doing everything when possible, overtly and covertly, to control the political space. Because what happened in 2023 with the Obedient movement, the Labour Party, Peter Obi, without a single governor or federal house member or senator or whatever, any elected or appointed person, was a very big eye-opener and a disruptor in the political system of Nigeria. If that could happen within a few months, when Peter came out, imagine he had been seen after he lost the election in 2003. He'd been 2023. He'd been screaming, permutating, moving around, networking, mobilizing, and all that. So any careful watcher will know that Peter Obi still remains the biggest threat to in 2027 presidential election. And I think that APC, election for OPC, are not actually losing sleep about that.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people, for instance, the other day, Buba Galadima of NNPP said, look, yes, we've had situations in this country where, a certain political party, the ruling political party, had preponderant number of governors, but he still lost the election. He's talking about APC in 2015. And now he's saying that, look, if the party that the president belongs to, the ruling party, is not scared of what he's doing, then why should he go to the unprecedented step of trying to quietly coerce you know, and that even Buhari did not coerce anybody into the party. He said, look, I'm leaving the whole thing as a Democrat. A military man, a military dictator is behaving in a more democratic way than a supposed Democrat who is saying that, look, I'm not in his speech, I'm not in favor of one-party system.
If you look at the speech of Mr. President, he's made it very clear he's not coercing, not doing that. People are seeing the good work he's doing and are coming in to compliment him in the progressive agenda towards a renewed hope, a better Nigeria.
That's a spin. That's a spin, isn't it?
Yeah, but the fact remains this: either covertly or overtly, the ruling APC in Nigeria has become a kind of a behemoth, and I am worried about multi-party democracy in Nigeria.
You are worried about multi-parties?
I am worried about
the death of it? The death of it?
No matter what anybody says, this is my own personal opinion, I'm worried about the death of multi-party democracy in Nigeria.
Which this is what we're
which is saying. What the fear of everybody. But one thing that also gives me a kind of a hope in that direction is what happened in 2023. If Peter Obi with his grassroots movement could win the states where governors were, even in Anambra, where the ABGA was the alter ego. In Rivers, including Rivers State, he won overwhelming Rivers State, Delta State, Imo State, Ebonyi. In fact, almost all the southeast and south state in that election, he almost won all.
And those that perhaps maybe he could have.
Yes. Now, it also tells us that you do not really need governors
to win
elections, except where the democratic will of the people is subverted. When the will of the people are not subverted, because let me tell you, governors can be more popular when they are contesting election than when they are on seat. Because when they are on seat, most of the things they promised, they will not achieve them.
They have not delivered.
They have not delivered it. People are hungry. People are unhappy. People are hot.
Now,
people are feeling bad.
Let me give
they have not delivered most of the things they want to deliver.
Let me give you this scenario. Let me give you this scenario, please, because it's very important. We have Peter Obi, which is following, obedient. There are people who are. He's still very strong with his supporters. We have El-Rufai, who, of course, you saw. You know, the gathering that came to his mother's burial and the people who are gravitating towards him. He's a very, very, you know, strong, he's somebody you cannot, you know, dismiss. And in fact, the events of the past 1 month has even garnered more support for him, more sympathy for him. We have Amaechi, you know, another, you know, a politician you cannot ignore whatever it is you may think about. You may say, okay, yes, this and that is happening, but it's somebody you cannot ignore. And then you have Atiku. You know, Atiku himself has a lot of political, you know, capital in this country. And then you have Konkwesiya. Now, all of this together are coming under the ADC or come under a coalition of political, you know, heavyweights. And don't you think, and each of them really, really can make the difference. I mean, if they get together, they can make the difference. So don't you think that Tinubu's, I mean, the governors moving in to the APC can, you know, are just, you know, it's just a matter of optics.
Well, optics
than
there,
substance.
Optics there, but I say serious sometimes because power of community plays a very big role. For example, in the last governorship election in Anambra State, November 25 governorship election in Anambra State, Professor Charles Soludo and ABGA, who have been the ruling party in Anambra State for too long, despite the power of incumbency, lost the grassroots support of the people. But he won the election because of the power of incumbency and support of the federal incumbency power against the APC that was never liked by the people prior to that. But the man that was given the ticket of APC in Anambra State, that's Prince Dr. Nicholas Okachukwu Ikoma, was a man, a very influential person that was liked by. He was just like the Kwankwaso of Kanu in Anambra State. So when he took out the governorship ticket of APC in Anambra State, APC turned around and within a space of 3 to 4 months, APC became the dominant grassroots political party accepted in Anambra State. You know, before then, if you wear APC thing, they start throwing you stones. All this anti.
Before we wrap up, there's one aspect of Mr. President's speech about the youth of this country. We all know the disillusionment of the youth. We all know that they have been left behind in the reform process. I mean, let's face facts. Now, Mr. President is coming back with the same cliche that, look, youth are this and this and that. Do you think the youth are going to believe him?
Well, Mr. President is still a sitting president. He still has enough time to actually implement most of his good plans for the youth. I listened effectively to that aspect because it concerns me a lot, because I am a youth activist, concerned the youth about the welfare of the youth and the strength of every society, the youth.
Okay.
So, and if you look at maybe the way they have been giving some important appointments, some to youth like that, I mean, there is hope for the youth to be carried along. It is not too late, but at current time, let Mr. President not be deceived by anybody. The youth are not yet properly carried along, but he still have opportunity
to remedy
with the type of resources that are coming into the country, with the way the reform he talked about. Yes, have written some very serious positive results in the country. However, the people are still suffering.
I want to introduce a very important aspect, the power issue.
Yes.
For the past weeks in this country, we've had a situation of almost hopelessness as far as power is concerned. Even Mr. President himself had to set up a committee to actually look at it all. And people are saying, look, we are not interested in committees. Every time, this is abject failure. You yourself, Mr. President, told us that if I'm not able to give you power within 4 years, don't vote me. And here we are. Even he himself has to set up an alternative solar power. What has he got to say to Nigerians on that? Can Nigerians really believe him?
If the power that they will listen to me and listen to us, Mr. President, on the area of power, I want to advise Mr. President, go and bring in Professor Bat in Nigeria, making the Minister of Power. Let him bring professionals from Nigerians are professionals across the world, giving power to other countries. Forget issue of the ethnicity of any person. Get back in Nigeria, assemble team of expert professional Nigerians across the world, and I'll tell you in a matter of months, Nigerian power can be made to work. If back in Nigeria could say an individual with geometric power did what he did in Aba and the Abia State, giving 24-hour power supply and all that with limited resources and with all the limitations at a private company, something should be done. That's why the same thing should be done in other sectors. Mr. President, you have robust agenda, you have good plans for Nigeria. What do you think that more people that are working in your cabinet that are trying to execute these things are incompetent in the movement of them, and you merit and competence as a factor?
I think
you can change so many things within the period, and the youth and others can actually support you, and you see your vision being realized and achieved. But if you ignore this, I still be listening to all these big men around.
Okay, Dr. Tony, I think we have to go. Thank you very much for being with